Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Caden Gray, and today I'm joined by David Stuart, who is not only a good friend of mine, but he's also an international gay men's sexual well-being champion. Hi!
Hi.
Please tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Gay sex. Helping people to enjoy it better, helping people overcome the obstacles that make it difficult for them, like chems, or like stigma, or like HIV, or like all that shit that's in our heads when we're trying to enjoy sex. My day job is kind of sitting down one-on-one and helping people navigate those fucking complicated things so they can just enjoy sex. Kind of for me, the way I see it is gay sex is really, really complicated. It's been complicated by an HIV and AIDS epidemic. It's been complicated by decades of gay men being told that their gay sex is risky, dangerous, about death and disease. And we care about you, so make sure you take those danger messages into the bedroom with you. That was a lot of people kindly trying to protect gay men from HIV and AIDS and from all of the accompanying things, and trying to protect communities from epidemics. And by doing so have had to deliver very frightening, urgent messages. And it is good that there is a cat playing with something over there.
Yes, for fuck's sake, stop it! You little dick. Scary messages.
We've inherited the fact that our gay sex got associated with death, danger, disease, and fear. It can ruin sex. So sex can be ruined by an AIDS epidemic, it can be ruined by toxic masculinity, it can be ruined by your experiences by religion in your area that you were raised in, or as an adult. It can be ruined by the porn you watch, it can be improved by the porn you watch, it can be ruined by one single rejection in a moment when you really wanted someone to like you. It can ruin the sex for the rest of your life unless you get the right kind of help about it. For me, CHEMSEX is kind of the manifestation of all of that. It's like if you got all of those ingredients that ruin gay sex, then that really make gay sex difficult to enjoy, then the one thing that bonds them all together is you do chems and you can enjoy it again.
Because it all disappears, all the issues just seem to fade.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, I know I'm very famous for my CHEMSEX activism, and that's probably a word that will be carved on my tombstone, and that's cool.
Do you want me to make sure?
You're going way before me, bitch.
Woo! Okay, this has now become a contest.
Yeah. CHEMSEX seems to me to be an obvious and inevitable culmination of how fucking shit gay sex got. Not for everybody, for a lot of people.
For many of
because
us.
of these things.
Yeah, I see that. And there's a very direct connection between CHEMSEX and HIV, isn't there?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, put plainly, guys who engage in CHEMSEX are the highest risk group in the developed world for HIV acquisition and transmission. I just want to repeat that for emphasis. Guys who engage in CHEMSEX are the highest risk group for catching or transmitting HIV in the developed world. There's just no two ways about it. That doesn't mean that that's all that CHEMSEX is about. I mean, as someone who's been trying to champion CHEMSEX causes for a very long time, I invented the fucking word. So I tried to get healthcare and government policies to adopt the word to name this syndemic of behaviours, because people are dying from it, from G overdoses, because people are experiencing psychotic Sundays, which is a thing in the gay community now. Who would have thought? Because missing days of sleep and doing cosmetic is a normal thing. Me too. And I'm sure a lot of the guys watching have. And it shouldn't be a normal thing for us. Getting sexually assaulted in a sauna should not be a normal part of our weekend lives. Spending Sundays psychotic and thinking that there are cameras in our house, or wanking and thinking there are people watching through the windows, shouldn't be a normal experience for us. But it is for disproportionately large numbers of us. Too many of us have experienced that. And so it's hard as a young activist. I was young once. It's hard as a young activist to say, care about these things. It's much easier to say, these many HIV diagnoses were attached to this. So it's a simple fact that people, gay men who engage in CHEMSEX are very, very, very high risk of catching HIV. So that's a good starting point when you're an activist trying to get attention drawn to the point. But it's really important we don't think that's what it's all about.
Right. I think we're running a risk always of making it sound very diagnostic when it's a lot more complex there.
Yeah.
And
because there are a lot of people who enjoy
intricate.
chems and can manage the risks and harms that are associated with it, whether that's eternally or just for a period of time or during good periods of their life. It's so complex, but a frighteningly large number of us can't.
You mentioned that you spend quite a lot of time trying to get people to acknowledge that it's a complex issue. What are the barriers that people face, governments face, authorities face, in acknowledging that it's actually happening and that is complex?
One of the biggest barriers is people just think it's just another drug use problem. There's been a history of different drug use epidemics. In the late 1800s, there was a California gold rush, and people from all over the world, including a whole lot of people from Asia, went to California to pursue this gold rush dream.
That was actually gold, or is
Gold.
that a name for a drug?
Gold. No, gold. People would pan for gold. It existed in the earth, and it was a gold rush.
Gotcha.
A lot of people from Asia traveled to America to make new fresh starts, pan for gold, look for actual real gold, and new futures. They brought opium with them. So they were taking a drug out of their country where it was organic and part of the culture into a very different culture where there was racism, where there were people starting new lives. And opium is the same kind of drug. It's from the poppy flower. It's the same as heroin.
Right.
But smoking heroin or injecting heroin is very different from opium. And some people don't understand that. Now, if you and me were going to go back in time and try to help that population with a drug problem that would happen, we need to understand the culture. We need to understand the racism that Asian Americans experienced at the time and how the fear that other non-Asian Americans experienced towards this change of culture and all these new Asian Americans coming to live there, to understand how these were part of the ingredients of addiction problems that were developing. And we would have been doing them a disservice if we didn't respect that. Jump forward to a couple of decades when you've got an African American crack cocaine epidemic, which is caused by racism again, a different kind of racism, caused by American presidents saying crack is a black African American problem when it was actually more complex than that. Injustices within the criminal justice system where African Americans are put in prison for doing crack, but they're white city guys in Wall Street who were doing cocaine in much more complicated ways were not being put in prison. So if we were going to help that population at that period of time, we'd have to understand their culture. We now have a heroin epidemic, which we're very familiar with. It's about street homelessness and poverty and crime, and there are lots of services that protect that. And we have CHEMSEX. Now, the challenges that governments and health services are making is just trying to label it as the same as heroin use. When I was doing CHEMSEX back 18 years ago and I needed help, they just kept sending me to heroin addiction services. I needed help with Grindr. I needed help with HIV stigma. I was lying in bed not feeling sexy. I was lying in bed thinking, I'm a diseased person, that person's going to not like me for it. I was trying to manage hookup culture because it was changing from the sex culture I'd known, which had actually been about cruising areas and public toilets, and there was a shift with Grindr and I couldn't adapt. I don't need help from a heroin addiction service, thank you. I needed help that was culturally specific, urgently. And it wasn't just me, it was tens of thousands of guys, gay guys in cities around the world who did not belong in heroin addiction services. They didn't belong in opium services from the 1800s. They didn't belong in African American crack cocaine support services. They need CHEMSEX specific support services that understand gay sex. They need to understand penises in bums, and they need to understand HIV, not just how you catch it or how you transmit it, but the history of it and the trauma of it, and the stigma of it, and the cruelty online. I needed someone to understand how to write a Grindr profile in the right way, and what it's like to be rejected for racial reasons or body image issues, or how to hate my body when everyone else seems to think it's okay. I need that. It's called CHEMSEX. It needs a name. It needs to be separated from traditional drug use epidemics. And this is the challenges that most governments and societies, and even sometimes gay men, but health services have with understanding CHEMSEX, and that's where I've been focusing a lot of my anger and efforts. You can't help someone who's struggling and asking for help with CHEMSEX without
Amen.
Talking about their gay sex.
Amen.
And that doesn't happen very well in drug services. No disrespect to the brilliant workers there, but you need to. What's happening to people who are trying to seek CHEMSEX is HIV continues. I go to a heroin clinic, say, help me, help me, help me, I'm struggling with CHEMSEX, this happened, I nearly died, I overdosed, da 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 da. They do their best thing, and a week later I found out I'm HIV positive, and they never did a PEP assessment with me, because they're not used to asking questions about the sex I've had in the last 3 days at a heroin addiction assessment. That's one thing.
There's a really strong connection right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's also other things too, like I deserve, if I'm going to go to bed with you, Caden, I want to lie there and enjoy it. I don't want to perform sex so that you don't reject me, because you're a famous porn actor. You also come across so confidently. You also look like a sexy body that must have no issues around body image issues. That's what you look like. I know. I don't want to lie in bed with you and perform. I want someone to help me with the confidence and skills to say to you, I get a bit nervous, I'm not very confident, does that make me less sexy to you? And I need to live in a world where you go, that doesn't make you less sexy to me, that makes you more sexy.
David, I would like to live in a world where I get to say that too, as a porn actor. Because there's this misconception that I am always, I'm this sexually emancipated person who doesn't have any qualms around sex. When I'm just like you.
Yeah.
I get nervous and I need people to be kind to me.
Let's make a commitment together. Will you?
Go for
I
it.
shouldn't make you commit to
Go for it. Well, let's see what it is.
But let's role model it for everybody. Let's
Okay.
ask everyone else to make this commitment too. I'm never going to bed with anyone ever again unless I create a space wherever that sex is. Look, when I say bed, it might be a sauna, it might be a bush, it might be my bed, it might be a sofa, who knows, but I'm never gonna go to bed with somebody again unless I create an environment where they can be authentic and real and vulnerable, and I create that space. I don't wait for them to find the courage to tell me these things, I create it. That's my commitment to you and you, my entire gay community, and everyone that I'm yet to have sex with. That space, I create it.
Sounds like a really difficult thing to commit to me. But I can commit to striving for that.
We need to,
Yeah, no,
it's
I
very
believe so.
important. Do you know why I think it's important? Because there are so many people who go to bed and gay men watching, fuck, we're good at this performance.
Yeah.
We've watched enough porn, we've practiced enough one night stands, we've practiced for years and years of hookups, and we're good at not getting rejected. We're good at sensing what the person is expecting of us. We're good at doing the fucking positions so our bodies look good. We're good at acting like we feel sexy when actually all we can think about is, I look so ugly right now, can they
We
see
put
it?
mirrors in front of ourselves to see what it looks like all of the time, don't we?
And we're so good at going to bed. We're very good at hookup culture and coping and thriving within that community. We're very good at existing in grinder culture, not failing in grinder culture. Because my God, to fail at grinder culture, you're a failed gay man, right? What do? You exist in loneliness and isolation. So we've got to be good at it. And we are. We're so good. But what we've forgotten sometimes, just how to be with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And that our clumsiness and our awkwardness and our ugliness and our farts are sexy. And saying to someone, I don't want you to perform for me, please don't, has to become a commitment we make to each other.
I don't think I've ever said it to anyone, but I've thought it so many times. Sometimes when I have sex with people, I don't know if it's the way they have sex, but they just start making all these really loud noises. And I don't know if they learned that from porn or if they think that I expect it. But then it just seems like porn. It kind of feels like...
And can you tell them
Work.
that you're wondering that?
I think I might now.
You're in bed with them.
Yeah, I know.
You know what goes me is these guys that message me online or that I might see one-to-one, and they kind of, at some point they lean forward and they whisper, I do get nervous taking my clothes off with a stranger on Grindr. And I love that they're giving me such confidence, and I'll lean in and I'll thank them for giving me that honesty. You know, it's such a privilege. And then I'll say, but why are you telling me? You know, tell the person you're in bed with.
It's
not
really
me.
hard though.
We've got to be better at it, and
Yeah.
I will make a commitment, because if it is hard for everybody, then I will be the guy that doesn't make it hard for someone. My bed, my sex, my relationship with the person in front of me, it's a place where I will make sure you don't have to perform for me. If you feel unsexy by revealing a vulnerability, let me show you how it's not unsexy.
You know, I see as a brother, I'm staying to want to have sex with you. It's going to change the dynamic of our relationship.
Close your legs. Close your legs.
Where on social media can we find you?
I'm so promiscuous on social media. I'm everywhere. You just think me and I'll appear
You
on
have a
the
YouTube,
screen.
don't you?
I have a YouTube channel, it's David Stuart. Little 2-minute videos. If you're having a craving for drugs and you don't know why, if you say on Tuesday afternoon, I don't want to do drugs this weekend, but on Saturday night you do, and you don't understand why I do on Saturday and I don't on Tuesday, there must be something wrong with me or my mental health because I want 2 different things at different times of the week and there's something wrong with me, I can't control it. These are really normal things, and I've created a whole bunch of really just short videos that can help make that less complicated and help. It's a tool to manage it, so it's craving management tools, but also how to enjoy sober sex. And I'm trying to be as authentic as I can about my sexuality and my vulnerabilities, so that they can help other people have the courage to do the same. That's what my YouTube channel's about.
The How to Stay Positive When You Test Positive project is coming out later this year. And like I mentioned, it's a social media project designed to shine a positive light on what it actually feels like to live and thrive with HIV.
Live and thrive with HIV.
Thrive.
Tell me about that.
Live and thrive with HIV.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that HIV is all about not dying from the disease, when we've come so far that at the moment you can not just live. If it wasn't for the stigma, everything would be dandy. Apart from the fact, obviously, that the medication isn't available in many countries, but here in the UK, we've nailed HIV prevention and treatment. And so it is possible to look beyond not dying from HIV. We should really be focusing on how to help people cope, integrate HIV as a long-term condition, and just be happy living with HIV.
How far does it go, this thriving? I mean, is it okay if I find the fact that you're positive really sexy in bed?
I don't know if, I think that's when it's gone a little bit too far, and it sounds like fetishizing.
It makes it easier for me as a long-term HIV positive guy.
Oh, you. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Right, okay. If you per se, then I think there's an added comfort. If 2 people have HIV, they've obviously, there's an overlap in their experience, and they've experienced stigma, maybe in different ways, but a lot of things probably got to them.
How about
So
this?
I think that is really comforting.
I want sexy, not just comforting. Let's say I'm an HIV negative guy, okay? And I'm having sex with you, and I'm about to do my performance sex, and I'm intimidated by your sexiness and your porn persona. And then you reveal to me that you're HIV positive. And suddenly you're human. Thank God, because you were such a scary porn star. You're so much sexier now. Thank you. Is that okay?
Sure, but I don't know if that's necessarily how that would go. That's how I wish it went, because being undetectable, I don't pose a threat to my sexual partners. However, a lot of people still don't know that, unfortunately.
Even if you were infectious, you wouldn't pose a threat to me. I'm just glad that you told me something so personal. I know how to use condoms or PrEP, stuff like that, so it's not
Thanks for saying that. That's actually a really important thing. We focus a lot on how, we strive for undetectable and focus a lot of attention on being not infectious, but having HIV regardless of whether you're on medication or not, which is totally your choice. It doesn't have to be a life-threatening experience.
There's so many ways to protect yourself. That should be so sidelined. The fact that you're an HIV positive guy, and whether I am or not, it's an integral part of you. It's something that that is intensely intense about the engagement we're about to have, which is sexy, and we're talking about it and negotiating it. No one is in any harm. It could be sexy.
It could really be sexy. I think I can get on board with it not being unsexy at this point. Alleviating yourself from the anxiety that surrounds HIV can do wonders for a sex life.
I've been positive for such a fucking long time. You know I don't talk about how long.
How long?
No, I don't do that. But a long time.
Acting about age.
That's not why. It's just, I don't know, the competition thing. People compete with how long they've been positive.
I would love to.
I win. But a long time, and that is a part of me. I don't know what it's like to think HIV negative. It's something that goes into the bedroom with me. And I demand it's a sexy thing about me, okay? I don't want you to have sex with me despite it, and I don't want you to have sex with me but not by not thinking about it, or by arming yourself with protection. Have sex with me. I'm HIV positive and it's fucking sexy. It's a huge part of my life. It's not just something in my bloodstream, it's about my lifestyle. It's about the choice I made, the experiences, of the strengths I accumulated by dealing with it. It's about the kindness I show you. My HIV is a part of me and it's fucking sexy. You don't get to get with this unless you're on board with that. Okay?
I wish that someone had said that to me before I became positive.
I mean it.
Yeah,
I can't go to bed and pretend I'm HIV negative, and I can't go to bed with that as an urgent thing we must discuss to protect you. No, it's me, and it's awesome, and it's integral to my experience. And my experience is in bed with you. That's a good thing, bitch.
Oh. Yeah, I do wish I had heard that a long time ago.
Get there fast, will you? Because it's a sexy thing about you.
Thanks. How to stay positive when you test positive is going to come out later this year.
I just made him cry a little bit.
Just a little bit. The project is coming out this year, hopefully in the summer, if I get my shit together on time. I just don't want to rush it. And there's going to be a bunch of interviews in the project with amazing activists and specialists like David, but also I'm going to do a few more diaries with some of the participants. So stay tuned, they'll be coming at you very soon. And I'll see you soon.